Alright, hopefully you were able to open up the previous two videos and copy and paste the link to your web browser so that you were able to see the introduction and then also be able to see how to navigate through our Moodle page for this particular online course or hybrid course. I'm going to go ahead and get into the program design for resistance training. I have a PowerPoint here that I'm going to go through a couple slides with you and just try to get about a 4 to 5 minute video in order to introduce you to program design for resistance training. First off, there's a couple principles when we're talking about exercise prescription for athletes, for advanced individuals, as well as for the novice and beginners in weightlifting. A couple things that you need to look over that are just some basic concepts when you're looking at designing a program or designing a resistance training program for yourself is 1, specificity, 2, overload, 3, progression, and then the overall 4th is program design. Last but not least, program design. Specificity is basically talking about a method whereby an athlete or an individual is trained for a specific adaptation or a specific sport. If we're going more with a novice individual or a general population, it's your goals as far as specifically what you're exercising for. Are you exercising for just simply muscular strength? Are you exercising for muscular endurance, or a combination of both? Is weight loss a main goal in your mind? So when you're looking at that, we can gear your exercise prescription specifically towards what your goals are. Overload is simply the load that you're putting on your muscles. As far as beginning, you of course you're not going to go up and start to where you're going to pull a muscle or you're going to strain a muscle. But overload means it's simply when you start getting in that workout routine, you want to increase the weight, you want to increase your time, you want to increase your intensity in order to receive muscular growth. The next is progression, and that's going to go hand in hand with overload, because as you progress through your actual program and as you progress through your resistance training program, we hope that you are increasing muscular size, we hope that you're increasing muscular endurance, we hope that you're becoming a more fit and healthier individual. With that, overload will come. And then, of course, program design is the last but not least, but it wraps up everything that I just mentioned. There are 7 steps that we're going to go over throughout this PowerPoint. Program design is how you are going to specifically design your program, utilizing specificity, utilizing overload, and then also utilizing progression. So with that being said, let's get into the objectives of this particular chapter. Once you finish this chapter, once you finish this video and the notes that are on it, we hope that you're able to select exercises based on the type or sport specificity or technique experience, equipment availability, and time availability that you have. We're going to determine training frequency based on your status, based on if you're an athlete in this course, based on your sports season, based on your load, your exercise type, and then other concurrent exercises or other exercises that are going to go hand in hand. Also arranging exercises in a training session. So each time we meet, specifically on Saturdays within the weight room, what's your training session going to consist of? What exercises are you going to choose? Objectives continued. We want to determine a 1 rep max or 1 repetition max. You're gonna see that as a 1 RM. That is part of your labs. If you look at lab 4.1 and lab 4.2, you will see that we are doing a 1 rep max in order to determine, basically have a baseline as to where you are. And then at the end of the course during week 8, we're going to revisit lab 4.1, 4.2, as well as one other lab, and do another 1 repetition max so that you can see your growth, where you started from to where you're ending. We're going to assign loads and repetitions based on the training goal, assign training volumes according to your training status. Of course, we're going to have probably a wide variety of individuals in here, some novice, some may be athletes, some may have individuals with military experience, individuals that have training experience, but just have not been in the weight room in a while. We're also going to determine rest period lengths based on the training goal, and I have another PDF file that I'm going to upload to Moodle pretty soon that has the ACSM recommendations. And if you're wondering what ACSM stands for, it's the American College of Sports Medicine. Those recommendations for resistance training. So all that will help you determine your rest periods, will help you determine your goals, and will help you a lot when trying to design a program. First off, the principles of anaerobic exercise prescription. Now, anaerobic, if we want to get a little more detail with this particular term, that's basically I don't like to say without oxygen. That's what a lot of the definitions are going to come up with as far as anaerobic, because of course we're still using oxygen, but it's opposite of aerobic. Aerobic is utilizing a lot of oxygen. It's going to be exercises such as treadmill, walking, biking, any type of high endurance exercises. You're going to hear those referred to as aerobic. When we're looking at weightlifting and resistance training, you're going to hear that related to anaerobic, less oxygen use. It's more powerful lifts or more explosive type movements such as weightlifting. It's not just going out and running 2-3 miles. Resistance program design variables. You see below we have needs analysis, exercise selection, training frequency, our exercise order, training load, which relates to overload that we were talking about at the beginning, volume, and then rest periods. So you can pause this video right now if you would like to. These are the 7 principles of resistance training or anaerobic exercises, weightlifting that will help you in your exercise prescription. We're going to go over step 1 in this video, and then I'm going to create a couple more videos that goes over the remaining 6 steps. But step 1, let's have a good foundation. Let's get a good foundation. Like I said, replay this video, pause this video, whatever you need to do in order for this to sink in. But our needs analysis is a 2-stage process that includes an evaluation of the requirements and characteristics of the sport or the individual. Of course, you're going to hear me refer to athletes/individuals a whole lot in this PowerPoint because we have a wide variety of individuals within this class. An assessment of the athlete and individual. Step 1 is just that. That's the reason we have labs 4.1 and 4.2. Right now, we're just trying to get a basic baseline assessment of yourself, which will be referred to as the athlete or the individual. The evaluation of the sport or the evaluation of the goal. We have movement analysis, which talks about your body and limb movement patterns and muscular involvement. You're going to be hearing eccentric and concentric actions, and you're going to learn what those definitions are later in the course. And then also a physiological analysis. Think of physiological as to how your body is reacting to exercise. How is exercise specifically affecting the body at the cellular level? Strength, power, hypertrophy. If you don't know what hypertrophy means, that simply means increasing muscle size, increasing muscular strength, and then muscular endurance priorities. Our injury analysis, this is part of Lab 1 as well. Common sites for joint and muscle injuries and causative factors. You need to know where you're injured. You need to know that if your doctor has said that you have a previous heart condition, if you have any type of chronic illness or chronic disease, is that going to affect your training routine or your training program? So we're doing basically a self program here, but if you were a personal trainer, I was a personal trainer for about 2 years during college. These are all things that I'm going to look at when I am developing a program analysis for someone else. So these are things that you need to look at when you are developing a program, a resistance training program for yourself. The assessment of yourself, the athlete, the individual. Training status. 1, what type of training program are you going to design for yourself? What length or recent regular participation in previous training programs have you accomplished? Once again, are you a novice? Are you a beginner? Is this the first time you've lifted ever in your life? Are you an athlete? Are you already on a training program? Or are you one that maybe when you were younger or at some point in time you were on a strict training program and it's just been several years since you've gotten back on that? The level of intensity involved in previous training programs, and then your degree of exercise technique experience. If you will, look at this table with me. We have an example of classifying resistance training statuses. If you can see this, you have 3 different categories: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And as you see, the beginner, if you're looking at a current program, you're just beginning, you're less than 2 months of being in a weight room or being on any type of exercise activity. And when you're looking at frequency, you need to visit weightlifting or resistance training approximately 1 to 2 times per week, I should say. Your training stress. Now, what is training stress? You might ask yourself. Your training stress is what stress are you putting on the muscle? It goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning. What kind of load are you putting on the muscle? If you are a beginner, when you get into the weight room, and with this being a hybrid or online course, you're going to have to be in the weight room a lot more than just one time on Saturday morning with me, because we have to get in exams. We've got other things that we have to do. So in order to get benefit out of this or receive benefit out of this class, you really have to take it upon yourself to get in the weight room or do some type of body resistance exercises at your house or at your home in order to benefit from this. But your training stress, it should be none to low if you're a beginner. You want to just go through the movements. You don't want to overload the muscle. Trust me, you're going to be sore. If you've never done some of these lifts, you're going to be sore with very little weight. And then as you see your technique and experience and skill, if you're a beginner, don't expect a lot. You're gonna struggle through some of the lifts. You're gonna try. You're gonna have some difficulty in knowing what the machines are and knowing what the correct motion and correct movements and of these Olympic type lifts that we are going to be going over. Now, if we move down to intermediate, these are moderately resistance trained individuals. Someone that may be currently training. Your training age means that you've been in weightlifting or you've done some type of activity for approximately 2 to 6 months. If you're that type of individual, then you can go ahead and increase your frequency to approximately 2 to 3 times per week. Your training stress should be at about a medium level, moderate intense level. So you should feel a decent burn. Now, of course, you don't want to get to where you are absolutely overstraining the muscle, but you're going to feel that burn. You're going to feel the blood flow going to that particular muscle. And then your experience, you may be able to do some of the basic lifts such as bench press, squats, leg extensions, leg curls, abdominal exercises. So you're a little more advanced than the beginner, and this is a good guide as to when you're designing a program as to what you should include for yourself. Now, if you're an advanced, if you're an athlete, if you're somebody that has military experience or has been in a training program for over a year, and you're still currently training, you would be in this advanced category. Your frequency, you can lift approximately over 3 to 4 times per week. Your training stress is high. You are going to feel that burn. You are going to push that muscle to where it is at that maximum limit. In this case, you need a spotter. Realistically, in all cases, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, you definitely need a spotter. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying that. But if you're in advanced and you're really pushing yourself, a spotter is impeccable and vitally important because you are training that muscle to where that last rep, it should be giving out. The technique and experience of skills, you're going to not only know basic lifts such as bench press, back squats, abdominal exercises, basic arm curls, leg extension, leg curls, but you're also going to know a lot of Olympic lifts such as snatches, power cleans, overhead split jerks, a lot of the lifts that you're seeing in CrossFit in today's society and in today's time. Step 1, as far as the needs analysis, continuing with this, and this is the last slide for this particular video, but assessment of the athlete or assessment of the individual. We say that there needs to be physical testing and evaluation done. You want to relate the test to the individual needs. That's the reason we have labs 4.1, 4.2, and a couple other labs. We're basically relating this to the common everyday person. Are you going to be able to climb a flight of stairs? Can you walk up several flights of stairs without getting out of breath? Can you walk from your car to the grocery store with ease? After testing, we'll compare results with the normative or descriptive data to determine your strengths and your weaknesses. Sometimes individuals, once you do these labs, you may find out that, wow, my lower body strength is greater than my upper body. So when you design a program, you may want to, for a week or so, you may want to concentrate on upper body lifts, or you can increase upper body lifts while maintaining lower body. Because it's our goal as an individual to become a strong, healthy, fit individual overall. We don't want our upper body stronger than our lower body significantly stronger than our upper body. We want to have strength in all areas of our body. And then, of course, our primary resistance training goal is typically to improve strength, power, hypertrophy. You see that word again. That's once again, I mentioned this. It's the growth, muscular growth. You can look that up on your own to get an exact definition, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you know that means muscular growth, then you're good to go. Or muscular endurance. And then concentrate on the training outcome per segment. Get a goal in mind per week. Do you want to concentrate on on learning new lifts? Do you want to concentrate on upping your cardio? What is it that you specifically want to concentrate on? You know, if you're an athlete, is it your vertical? Is it your speed? Is it your power? Don't go at it and set goals that is weightlifting. You know, don't go at and set several goals that I want to increase my vertical. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to 1 rep max bench press at 225. When you don't accomplish that, you're setting yourself up for failure. So stay small, stay very short term goals that you know you can accomplish.